cried the Sparrow.
You're listening to the Sailing into Oblivion podcast, where we sit down with everyday people who do extraordinary things. I'm your host, Jerome Rand.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show after a extended break. Obviously, out working. Gotta make ends meet. And so sometimes a pause has to happen for the show because it's not convenient or it's not conducive to a coaching trip. We were going to actually sit down and do like a debrief, but, you know, I didn't have the nice mics and we were all pretty exhausted and cold. I'm not going to lie. And I figured just we could maybe do a video conference or something like that later on in the year, and we'll figure it all out. But first and foremost, big time shout out. Scott and Jess, you guys absolutely killed it. So much fun. A week spent aboard a lovely Halberg Rossi 39. It was fun. It was educational, and we ate well. We saw good, bad weather, everything. I mean, it was absolutely amazing. I don't want to spoil all the nitty gritty that we got into on that coaching session, but I do want to say job well done. And I wish them very, very good luck, because right about now, as I record this, they are probably heading out the Cape Fear Channel into the open ocean for crossing all the way down south to a nice little port, which I will remain nameless. But it's going to be a 1 or 2 night sail, and I'm super excited to see how those two do. I'm sure it's going to be a little nerve-wracking, but also a very, very cool experience. So, job well done. Thank you all so very, very much for hosting me on your lovely vessel. And I suppose absolutely have to do a big shout out for Ben, who is the main man. I've got the Burgee. Where's the Burgee? Oh, there it is. Picked one of these sweet babies up. I'm going to fly it at some point. Got to weather this thing. Deep Point Marina down there on the Cape Fear River. We were able to pull in there and take shelter from some ugly, super cold. We came out the ICW and hit the Cape Fear River, and it's like 25 knots stiff, 42 degrees or something like that. We sail down, and then we take shelter in this lovely, super protected little harbor. Now, they've also got Bald Head Marina. I mean, it's just great. It's literally the place to go when you are pulling into either Cape Fear and the inlet, coming down the ICW, and checking out Southport. Definitely give them a look. They take care of business. I'll tell you that. You know, it is kind of funny, actually. There's some marinas where you book it, and they're kind of like, all right, well, call us when you get in. And that's basically all they do. And these marinas are definitely on a different level, where they supply you with all the information, even a picture of the marina, which is great. I don't know if they just did that for us or they do it for everybody. I'm assuming it's one of those great little things that you can have that information before you arrive there, so you can do a little prior planning, and it eases down the old anxiety, because we all know in this sailing game, the sketchiest and most expensive mistakes typically happen when you've just untied or you're about to tie up. So always take caution, be prepared, and what's that old saying? Prior preparation prevents piss poor performance. And unfortunately, I do have to keep checking in. I got Instacart coming at some point, and there's a few changes going on. Let's see, sold out, approve. I'm approving it. Nice. Some changes. My shopper named Megan is doing a great job, very diligent. The game plan was to take off today. And I guess, so background, yesterday I woke up at about 5 a.m., went in, got everything ready, hopped in a car. Again, thanks to Ben. Appreciate the ride to the airport. Early mornings. I'll tell you, it's all about the people. Good people, and they're always so helpful. Gave me a ride to the airport, get in there, boom. Super early, thinking it's going to be chaos. Place is empty. Love it. And yeah, flew up, Logan, up here, hop on a bus, then hop in a car, then go have a lovely dinner, and then back on old Sparrow by just before midnight. So I didn't get a ton of sleep, I'm not going to lie, but I do have my coffee. Now, there are some people who love to hear the exuberant joy that coffee brings old J-Rome. But I did recently catch a comment from a listener in Slovenia, and they don't like it. So I'm going to forego the sippage, and I'm going to peel back from the mic. Hopefully you didn't hear that, but I am going to do the, oh, man, that's good. That is fuel for the brain and the soul and everything in between. I'm drinking Sparrow's brand coffee out here on Cape Cod. I love it. Ah, delicious. So I'm here. I'm on the boat. I slept a few hours. I woke up. We had to check the weather. We got critical, or I shouldn't say critical, but, we've got November weather in the North Atlantic. So not the easiest little thing to do. Obviously, before I decided to go down and hop on and get that other boat south, it was one of those things where I gotta, I'm trying to get Sparrow down there, but the trip from Nantucket Sound down to the Chesapeake was it was brutal. The low pressure systems, it was going to be ugly weather, out of the wrong direction, all the above. And so we foregoed that. And now it does kind of seem like it's taking a bit of more wintertime shape, where it's not so volatile, but it's very steady, big low pressure system, few days, big low pressure system, all that sort of thing. So initially, and I've been watching this weather like crazy, and essentially my game plan is to go due south, cross the Gulf Stream within about 3-4 days, get clear of all the eddies, and just keep tunneling south until I hit the Bermuda High, wiggle my way through the calms, hit the trade winds, due west, right into Florida, where Sparrow will lie for the winter. And to do that, though, it's the battleground is all fought between Nantucket Sound and the Gulf Stream. And I suppose Bermuda, too, because some of these lows are pretty big. Watching the weather all last, 2 weeks or something very diligently, and a window has appeared. But we've got nice, stiff, fresh 20 to 25 knot winds out of the northwest, which is great for bombing south on a broad reach. Sparrow loves that. Staysail, double reefed main, who knows, just cruising, bone in her teeth, that kind of sailing, which we all love, downwind sailing. And yeah, essentially we have to weather some weather, though, I have to say. There's a low that's going to be coming out on day 3 that the northern section of it that's still blowing a bit out of the west-northwest is going to be, 30 knots, so near gale sort of stuff, gusting much higher, I'm sure. And then the southern section, though, which is, I think, feeding off of the Gulf Stream, which would be prevalent south of the stream, is going to be blowing 35, 38, steady, gusting well above that. So that's actual gale force winds. And, it's short-lived, 12, 18 hours, something like that. But here's the rub. Here's the funny thing. If you're a listener of this show, you will have recalled a few years back, I blundered my way into a eddy-riddled, wind-swept hellscape called the North Atlantic late in November, exact date November 25th, and was turned upside down by a large rogue wave. Blah, 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 blah. You've all heard the story, Huon and Han, and did a lot of damage to the boat. Very expensive cost, and also just put me out for quite some time. Oh, we got another order change. Got to keep on this. Sorry. I know it's kind of an interruption, but very naturally smoked. That's fine. Okay. And yeah, essentially I'm almost, not quite, but I'm almost staring at the same situation, and that being racing against the Gulf Stream and an oncoming weather pattern that is going to make it pretty dicey and ugly. And I'm sitting here, and the game plan, and I still can't even believe I'm thinking of this. I'm sitting here like, I think I can make it. I think I can make it. And the plan was literally wake up this morning, get this delivery of food, stow it on the boat, and go. And, minutes count, so to speak, in this respect, as far as me getting across the stream before the weather hits, and then weathering the worst part of the storm. And I'm just like, I woke up this morning and I checked the weather at like, I don't know, 4 or 5 in the morning, and it's definitely increased a little bit, not much, but I'm like, hold the phone here. Are you not learning anything from your past mistakes at all? Are you the degenerate gambler who is essentially wins a jackpot and gives all the money back, and the next week you do the exact same thing? No, that's what I'm essentially was preparing to do, was run right into the same exact situation. And I thought about it, and I was like, oh, okay, hold on. If I had that to do over, what would I have done? And I've thought about this many, many times. I would have gone and waited it out north of the Gulf Stream with, good 100 miles or something in between me and it, and allowed the system to pass until I know there's clear weather, and then dive across the stream. That's what I would have done. And yeah, lo and behold, that trip probably would have never been derailed. Would have been able to go out 4 or 5 months, do the Atlantic figure eight. That being said, probably was planning on selling the boat after that, I think, but I don't really know. Neither here nor there. Blundered myself into that terrible situation, a night I'll never forget, all that sort of stuff. At this point, though, I'm like thinking about basically trying to do the exact same thing. I mean, am I taking crazy pills here? What's going on? I don't understand. I don't understand how I could make that leap of judgment for that long, and thankfully caught myself this morning and realized what I was just about to do. And, obviously there's some haste. It's cold. I have been cold to the bone for a long time now. Many, many weeks of, a little electric heater that doesn't really do much, basically living in between 40 and 50 degree temperatures all the time. And I'm sick of it. I want to get the boat south, but I also am afraid that, if winter really comes in, then, yeah, we got to come up with a different plan B. And I want to get down to Florida so that I have the option of being able to sail and stuff like that when I get a chance. So regardless, it's just one of those things where, yeah, there's a few little prods pushing me to say, just go. This is an opportune time. You can do it. Yeah, it'll be really crummy for a little bit, but you'll get through it. And then I'm like, well, hold on. Let's explore all options. Not just plan A, not just what I want, because I'm working with Mother Nature. It's what Mother Nature wants or is going to dish out no matter what I want. And does that make any sense at all? Hold on, more coffee. See that? No sip. And yeah, I'm just kind of, so plan B, I'm like, okay, well, let's push back one day. Let's see what happens there. Looking at my distances, looking where I'll be. Boom. Now I'm in the northern section of the low, still blowing pretty much west and then coming northwest. Going to see 28 knots, so near gale, but nothing crazy. Well outside of the Gulf Stream while that happens. Obviously, I'll probably have to hove to for, a bit longer, probably 24 hours. But as soon as that system starts to depart, and I've got a good bit of room in between me and the stream, dude, it's going to be blowing northwest again, and I can crack the sails off, and I can start surfing waves and head right for the stream and hit it in fine, dandy weather. Cross that sucker, and then we've got days of good conditions, albeit a little bit light, but that's okay. Should be warm-ish out there when that happens, and, Sparrows... that's some of the big thing about ocean sailing. It's not just heavy weather. It's not just being able to deal with that and ride it out. It's how you keep the boat moving in super light conditions that is a super valuable skill set because, I'm not burning the engine. I'm not burning all that fuel up. Fuel this boat up once a year, if that. And I like sticking to that game plan. I also don't mind floating around for a little bit. Stars are going to be lovely. Our super moon was a very welcome companion on this last training gig. We were actually Oh, geez, the night that it was super bright. Well, I mean, going down the Chesapeake in 30 to 35 knots was pretty crazy. But it was dead on the stern, and we just raced and rolled and all that sort of stuff. But the second night, we were motor sailing along the Outer Banks, and that moon came up over that horizon. It looked like I felt like I was in Star Wars. You know that scene where Luke is like, oh, he realizes his destiny is to leave Tatooine. Nerd alert. Yeah, so where am I? I'm lost. Hold on. Yeah, so the supermoon, it was awesome, but it is gone. So it's going to be all about the stars and the constellations on this next trip, which is great. That's fine. I love that. And yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it at this point. This is gonna be good. So I know I've got out of track here at this point, but that's okay because it's just, it's having to deal with these Instacart checks and replacements and stuff. Got to keep an eye on this. These people are gonna show up, and I'm still in my skibbies. Shopping your order. Okay, I still got some time. All right, that's good. And yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those things where I just find it so funny that I was so close to blundering into the exact same situation that I was in before. Now, I do feel like Sparrow is a bit stronger, knock on wood, than she was before as far as the gallows and everything. And she could probably take a bit more of a beating. Not that I want to give her one because I love this vessel and she takes care of me, so I take care of her. But yeah, it's one of those things where I don't know, I was kind of shocked this morning when I was just like, oh, let's do it. And then came up with that other plan. So it's still gonna, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not looking forward to being hove to. I've got a good bunch of books on board. It's not gonna be all that bad, or it shouldn't be at least. And then it's in some ways I'm kind of looking forward to it because things are going pretty darn well. With all of the speaking stuff and the coaching and, really looking forward to diving into everything with Oliver and the whole Sailing with Phoenix program. That's going to be a blast. We're going to kick into gear on that as soon as I get this boat parked in Florida. And then, but, I'm kind of like, December, I have one speaking engagement and then December's pretty much wrapped for the holidays. And this is going to be kind of the first time this year I will be able to throttle back a little bit and just, I don't know, just kind of relax. But at the same time, I don't want to just go up there and relax. I want to have earned that. I want to walk in to that place up in Michigan and be like, yes, I am 100% we've made it, the promised land. Yes. Because that feels amazing when you have to gut up and just punch through so much crap and just, not good times. And you've just had to, push. I forget who the ancient, that ancient Greek story about the guys rolling the Sisyphus, maybe? I don't know. He's rolling up that rock up the hill, and then it constantly keeps coming back down, and you're just pushing, and you just go for it, and you're just feeling like you're beaten, and all you want to do is give up, but you don't, and you keep on pushing. Well, to add a little extra and just throw the weight on the back, you're the camel where the straw is not going to break, and then you finally reach it. You get to that point where it's all finished, and you can see it, and it's right over the horizon, and once you get there, that feeling is, I can't even really truly describe how good it feels to have done absolutely everything you could and not given up, and then you get to that point. Man, it is awesome. So that's what I'm trying to do. I'm ready for a bit of a beating. Cold, windy nights out on the North Atlantic, followed by hopefully nice, gentle, warm breezes south of the Gulf Stream, and then a little bit of a break for the end of 2025, which has been absolutely fantastic, crazy, and all that sort of stuff. I don't want to do any sort of end-of-year wrap-up because we're only in November, and a whole lot of stuff can go wrong still. I'm not going to lie. This trip, we're essentially doing a early winter not crossing, but, heading towards Bermuda as a bailout zone if we need, and then hopefully just blowing right past it and heading for the Bahamas, cut through them back to Florida. So I'm excited. There's a lot to do today, so this is just going to be an update. But the game plan, as far as the podcast goes for everybody, is going to be the daily updates. We have Starlink, thanks to my main man, Joseph. Thank you so much for lending me this little dish and all that comes with it. So we're going to try and do a morning show each and every day, if possible. It might be a little hard in the beginning if it's blowing some stank out there, and it's not the easiest thing to do. But yeah, I don't know how long the shows will be. We'll just have to see, but we're going to try and do them every single day. And we'll update Instagram as well and just kind of keep everybody in the loop. Oh, wow, that was a mouthful. Holy smokes. One more sip of the coffee. Yeah, I got to tell you, I'm going to apologize, but that just doesn't feel right to quietly sip the coffee. It just does not feel right. Okay, so we're going to wrap this one up so I can get moving on some of these projects. Essentially, I'm going to try and flush all the water out of the tanks. Thank goodness they didn't freeze. And replace all that. Do a rig inspection, so I'm going up the mast. I got to replace a couple plates for the staysail because I've wanted to do that for a long time, and this is a perfect opportunity. We're going to go over, check everything else out, and I think we should be good after that. Clean. I got to clean the boat, even though it's kind of nice when a boat is closed up and it's cold out all the time. It doesn't get that musty smell, but it still smells like a boat, and I don't like that. So I want to do a full-on clean, get everything organized, get all this food on board, and just having a little time. So it's not like a shotgun departure. Let's take our time with it. It's serious stuff. You want to make sure you're doing your due diligence. But yeah, so big thanks again to everybody that's making this possible. Thank you to the listeners for listening to me ramble and put up with the pause in the podcast there. But big shout out to not only Lucy, but also all the rest of the people on Cape Cod that have been so absolutely gracious, helping and offering, and just endless amounts of generosity. It's fantastic. Jeff, we had a great sail on the old Wiano down to Osterville. That was an absolute blast, and thank you so much for everybody who has contributed to the provisioning fund. You know who you are. There's a couple of people out there. I really do appreciate it because it just takes the sweat off of my brow when I'm sort of like, oh, okay, so let's just get the food we need, not try and cut corners and be like, well, I can only eat rice for that day. We're not at that point, but it is one of those things where all the help really helps. So thank you all so very much. And next check-in will it'll be tomorrow morning. Holy cow. We're leaving tomorrow morning. That's the game plan, unless the weather changes absolutely drastically. I think that's probably the only thing that makes me a little nervous about delaying one day is that looking at the weather, if it gets worse, it's like, oh, I've missed my opportunity. It would have been a beating and it would have been dangerous, but I missed my opportunity because, all hell can break loose this time of year on the North Atlantic. And, there is a point where you're like, dude, it's not happening. It's not happening. But either way, we'll get there. We will get there. I believe, ask the universe, give me safe passage and it'll provide. Yeah, right. So we'll have to sort of see. But anyway, thanks for listening. Have a great day. And until next time.